The gameplay style of the games. What the fuck?
You just said you weren't gonna swear.
Yeah, but then they told me there were no kids in the room.
It's an 18+ series anyway.
Exactly. I didn't even swore enough in 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Jill, the first curse.
they were
It's broken.
They were always trying to move the series to a more action-oriented feel from the get-go. But with 5, just 4 I thought was the balance. 4 I thought was a phenomenal balance of that nice classic both the atmosphere and the puzzle solving.
And that's when they changed up the actual control scheme as well.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
Yeah. Now,
no more tank control.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. Oh
I
man.
like fixed cameras. I know, you get used to it, right? It's like the first time all I play. The first time I played the game, I was
But it makes the survival horror.
why are you walking like
The
that?
fixed camera adds a whole new, like a different level of tension. That was one of the things I loved about it. Because you hear something, and there'd just be this blind corner of a head. Yes.
One thing that I actually really liked about the fixed camera angles was that every time you move to a new sort of like angle in the room, the camera changes position. So it's like every time you make a turn, you have to like reorient yourself, which I think very much adds to that feeling of being unnerved and kind of not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah, because you can't fix the camera angle. So there's something up there, but I can't necessarily look.
Yeah, so you have to reorient yourself every time you move.
It added a great level of tension there.
Some goddamn dogs just jumped through the window. Somewhere.
And I'll go back to the spider story later on. Remind me to tell that one.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it's just like on the talk about fixed cameras building tension. I think one of the best examples of that is not Resident Evil, actually from Silent Hill 4. There's a room you walk into.
Oh, I know the one you're talking about.
You don't see anything. You just see like the door you came in through. You're heavy breathing, and then you take a couple steps forward. There's this giant face.
It was the Eileen Galvin head.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And his eyes actually focus on you.
No,
And if you hit it with the taser, the eyes light up.
No, I didn't go that far.
But it's a great example of how like you're just hearing heavy breathing. You're like, what is it? And then you take a step forward, and it's terrifying.
Yeah, it's no, and that's one of the break-ins that the fixed camera will add a level of tension. Now, from what I have read,
just do this.
I'm diving into some more unfamiliar territory here. I'm going purely off what I've read. Revelations is actually giving us the new school controls with old school environments back.
And weapons.
Yeah, we got
And I changed my past.
yeah, we'll get onto that stuff a little bit later on the stuff in regards to Operation Raccoon City and Revelations.
And Chris now seems to have a quote where he has to choose nipples in every game. I'm okay with that.
We'll get to Revelations later. I've got a couple of things I got to say about Chris in Revelations. I'll go on to that one later. Does anyone else have anything else to say on the change before we move on?
The camera
third-person shooter.
Yeah.
I thought they nailed it like in Lost in Nightmares #5. I'm
Lost in Nightmares.
Scary. That was a good comedy.
I have a friend who actually, while playing through Lost in Nightmares, when that first body falls from the stairwell, empty every single round. What do you want?
Just a shrunk body.
You always bought me. Take a seat. Thank you. Damn it, I was hoping we could get a guest endorsement on this.
We're very casual. There's no real
He just comes to the back.
entry code here.
Well, he's a ninja. That's what he's supposed to do.
We're all friendly.
Okay, so if there's nothing further to add to those, no? Mike?
I don't know. I kind of like the tank controls, to tell you the truth. Is anyone here? No.
I like
that.
I'm a little used
Yeah, it does. But I mean, I started with Alone in the Dark, right? So for me, I was into it.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I do dig the RE4 controls, but I don't think like kind of the Silent Hill, what do they call the 2D control scheme, where like you're running, the camera angle changes, and
Yeah, you got it
off back into Pyramid Head or whatever.
Yeah.
Just walking down the hallway and running back and forth because the camera kept changing all the time.
I think
everyone over the course who's played an RE game or a Silent Hill game, but we're going to focus on RE games. That's what we're here to talk about. If you want to talk about Silent Hill, come back at 7 o'clock. I think everyone at least had one kill where that happens.
great. You know, RE4 kind of nailed it. So it's not really tight controls, but it still is kind of the over the shoulder.
Yeah.
Move where you're facing.
And I like the thing I like about 4 over 5 was you also got a little more tension. Like you got those much more moody atmospheric places.
Yeah, yes. And they still kind of put the puzzle elements in there too.
Specifically,
It
what
wasn't
comes to
exactly.
mind.
It wasn't exactly like difficult puzzles like the original one.
Oh, okay, come on. The slider puzzle when you're playing as Ashley. I hate that.
That was
You're
annoying.
playing as Ashley.
No, it was very easy. It was set up for you. Oh yeah, that's right. But like, you know, first time you're like, oh,
Part
what
5 was
is
actually
this?
really stupid was the switch of the firing and reload buttons.
Right to the gears.
Yeah, so if you play Resi 4, you go to hit fire and all of a sudden you're reloading. And there's-
See, I didn't notice that myself because I played through 4 on the Wii. Shake controller for reload.
It always just happens to be that cheese though. As
I know you're gonna like the game. That would be really painful.
I'm trying to remember if Jen, when I was playing with you, if I was playing with Adam when it happened, we were both reloading and got chainsaw. And I must have been playing with Adam. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we both got caught chasing.
Another thing we left out about Resident Evil 5 was when the chainsaw idiot does get you, you're the edge of your head.
Very sensitive.
You just did that for my neck.
Honestly, I think, no, because if you look in the open neck, he goes into the torso.
But all the different deaths were done in Resi 5.
Yeah, I swear, there must have been an entire separate section of the RE4 development team devoted to, let's kill Leon in the most grotesque ways possible.
It's awesome.
And like it added to the shock of it because you're kind of just going through it and oh crap, I'm dead.
The worst part, some of those things puke on you in his face.
And then he starts having to like ran through the office.
He looks like it's like those little details, like when Lewis gets stabbed from behind, his button goes flying.
Yeah.
My favorite part of the whole game, his button's flying. Because Lewis
And
getting
then I just have
killed.
that button and like bring it on my wall.
You got any smokes?
Honestly, yep.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, I think you can really tell how much I like the chainsaw thing if you remember the controller that you could get.
Has anyone in this room ever actually had one of those things and tried playing with it?
Okay. I wouldn't want to.
No, I know someone who actually had that thing and tried using it. It is, because of how it's laid out, it is completely impossible to actually play with this thing.
Yeah, I can
The
imagine.
control sticks point in 2 different directions depending on where your hands are orientated. So you don't press up in both ways to go straight. You press sideways and up.
That's terrible.
Moving on. Here's another fun one, and I think this is one everyone in this room can get behind. The change from the good old-fashioned cheese to the overly serious.
Well, they got rid of Barry.
Wesker!
Okay, I'll admit it. Five pick back up again.
Partners!
Five.
Okay, honestly, like partners keep a flashback for every time they say partners. Fucking guy.
5 picked the cheese back up in the latter half of it, but it took itself way too serious.
I'm saying the greatest scene of 5 is Chris punching the boulder.
That was terrible.
He needs help with opening doors.
I'm saying it's revenge for the boulder that chases you down the hallway in the original. That's what he's been bulking up for!
That boulder killed my parents!
That boulder's language!
My name is Inigo Montoya.
The original games had that degree of stupidity and cheese to them that just made them so enjoyable. It came across as a B-grade horror flick at times.
Especially with the original opener.
Down!
Don't go!
Sadly, that whole thing was better than the actual movies, though.
terrible inconvenience. I apologize.
Well,
Yes!
we'll get to the part of making fun of the live action movies if we got time.
CGs are all holy and awesome.
I'm still
Except for Leon's face never changes.
Leon Kennedy does not change face with positions.
It's progressively more Asian.
Yeah, 007. You're making the same change.
They brought it back. They definitely had that cheese still going. I mean, I think the series never really lose that edge. It always kind of knows that you can't take yourself too seriously, so it has to.
The thing with the cheese and 5 is it feels more like a theme song, right? Like you're not going for Evil Dead.
Yeah, they're
going for cheesy horror.
Yeah, it's less Z-grade Evil Dead, more. No, not even more. Yeah, more. No, not even. The Expendables was good. I love it. More. I want to say Judge Dredd, but that's not quite right. But you get more live genres. You know what, Mike? You're right. It did become more of a bad action movie. I mean, let's admit, Wesker was a Bond villain.
Yeah.
He was.
Now a shitty backstory.
Yeah, they did.
I think the point I made last year, I can't remember how to play it now.
I noticed.
Thank you, honey. But first RE game is very much the spirit of like horror flicks, and it's like that's unfortunately a medium that's kind of died out in Hollywood. It's been replaced with like cheesy, kind of just thrown together action horror. You know, crap like I'm Number 4, crap like the Scream movies, kind of. So I mean, if you look at RE5 as like it's more or less kind of sort of like kind of pulling from modern cheesy crappy action flicks in the way that the original RE games did for like cheesy horror flicks. It makes some sense. RE5 still has it.
Yeah, I mean, RE games to an extent have always pulled from different sources to flesh out new things. I mean, let's look at the live action actor for Wesker in the original game. Hey, look, it's Robert Patrick.
And who should have played him in the movie?
And of course, then there was the old joke you made.
Yeah.
There was a conversation her and I were having one day in regards to Wesker looking like the T-1000. And then she made the joke of her dropping him in lava.
Oh my god!
Yeah, like how long before that game even came out did you make that comment?
Oh, it was a good year.
Yeah, it was a good while before it even came out that you made that correct.
Well, I mean, like, there's also, I don't know if this is like canon or not, I've heard people say it, but like, part of Western design, at least at the time, was like, more or less meshing together David Bowie and T-1000.
Yeah, I was going to say he looked like Neil from the Matrix.
And he stole 2 different jobs.
No, you don't. I can prove that too.
I'd also say though, but part of the reason that some of this change happened in recent years, not especially for horror films and the action genre, but also for video games to make themselves more serious, more hardcore. And I mean, that 100% has its place. There needs to be, those 28 Days Later movies that are great films beyond just being a good zombie movie or, infected movie or however we're going to class it. But with video games, it's kind of gotten to this point of they're trying a bit too hard to be taken seriously and they don't quite know how to do it yet. And they feel like it's kind of bad for the community if we do that jokey thing every once in a while.
See, I firmly disagree on that one. If I want an artsy game, I'll play an artsy game. I'll go play something like Castlevania, Lords of Shadow, or Metal Gear, something like that. One of those deeper, heavier games. I don't play Resident Evil for the young.
Exactly.
I play
That's
Resident
what's
Evil.
stupid about it.
Yeah, I play Resident Evil because I want to pull the snot out of a zombie.
Yeah. Or a genie. Or a ganado.
But it is a perfect parallel, right?
Any other original. Exactly. It's your Asia.
It is a perfect parallel, right? Between, even if you look at, from RE1 to the RE1 remake, it's the same kind of thing with like any horror franchise, right? Like the Friday the 13th remake or Nightmare on Elm Street. Like they really are. They're forgetting all about that old stuff. They're really trying to make it serious, and it's just not working.
It's all with the changes of the times, right? As we see like all these different, whatever the emphasis is at the time. I know with zombies, like we're seeing faster zombies, we're seeing all that, like the ganados and everything. I mean,
28 days later.
28 days later, we're reinventing the zombies. That we try to see a lot more of that, and it doesn't exactly work with the classic conventions of Resident Evil.
Well, I mean, that was really scary about Resident Evil 4 was, when you saw the trailers and it's like these, you didn't know what they were at first, and they're running at you, and I was like, oh my god, they can open doors now?
Okay, enemies opening doors is nothing new though. Remember the Crimson Heads? Yeah. I'm trying to remember if it was in the original, or I think it was in the original, when you first come back in after doing the guard, and you're walking out, you hear the door, you don't hear the break or anything, you just hear the door open. It's like, wow, what a very polite hunter that is. Yes, you.
One thing I still can't get over, that I'm probably never going to get over, is Nemesis opening a door. Because usually with BOWs, they like go boom. Running away from him.
Chris, I remember this is what happened in Nemesis was you'd go into a room and the music would go calm, and then you hear the music's like
I love the fact that we'll open some doors and then you'll have to say something.
And then you'll come the wall.
The moment the camera angle changes, he follows you again at full run speed, and your run speed's slower than his.
That's a little unfair.
But also from the other side, he has a rocket launcher.
That makes it unfair.
Yeah, at least avoid the rocket. Now this topic, we're actually segueing. Yeah, we're segueing into our next topic here. We're actually going to the evolution of the enemies. I think this is one we can all get behind here because I hear we've already been going on about this for the last 5 minutes. I want to officially move everything forward here. Yeah, I mean, enemies. What do you say? No. Hunters were one of my favorites. I gotta say, the Lickers in 5. When I first saw that, I fanboyed. Lickers, my first ever RE game was RE2. After they ported it over to 64. And the Lickers to me are something that just they are the first thing that always comes to mind. And that just seeing them in that first trailer, I was sitting there. I was actually watching this trailer when I was in class. While I was still in college, I was sitting there like. Personally, I wouldn't mind them seeing them mix it up between the Magini, Ganado, whatever the hell you want to call them, and classic zombies. I wouldn't mind seeing a mix because I find shooting the same fast running things over and over and over again gets good.
Actually, that's quite possible. If you run it on virus, they may combine with that.
Yeah.
That's my hope. Nice.
I have no idea who that is. I'm ignoring it. No, I'll be doing all that.
We need Leon.
We'll get to that later.
I have a question. I think we're all familiar with Resident Evil 4, but what would you say was Resident Evil 3.5, where they had like Leon in that big plane, where it's like a black cloud, which kind of looked like the Spider-Man symbiote in a way?
The first trailer?
Yes, exactly. What would you say that was? Was that like a mix of like Silent Hill? They're starting to bring that in there, or like Ghosts?
That was the thing. Was the reason already Fallout 4 got redesigned to the extent it did was because they were getting too far into the supernatural.
Okay.
Now, how many people here have actually seen the legendary Hookman footage? Okay, yeah, for those of you not familiar with this, early in the development cycle for RE5, I think we're what, 90% through before they scrapped it?
With the RE,
like every
With the Hookman video, when he moved with the ghosts.
right? They were 50%.
It was Leon in literally a haunted mansion, and he was. I think their actual excuse was when he got gassed, so he was hallucinating, and he was fighting ghosts.
Did he have a vacuum?
No, he was fighting ghosts the way I would fight a ghost, with a 45 automatic. No, I would not fight a ghost with a positron glider.
I would.
Now, look, if you have not seen it, go online, look up RE4 Hookman. Because this was some of the most atmospheric I've ever seen a series in. I think there was also one room he goes into with living dolls.
That was terrifying.
Yeah, and as cool as that would have been, it would have been such a far break. I mean, as much as they've gone away from what they originally were, it would have gone way beyond.
They should have sold it to Konami to make a new Silent Hill.
Or just make it something original.
Side story.
Well, yeah, let's face it, Devil May Cry was an accident from RE4 movie development. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Awesome. Yes, sir.
What do you think about the new Operation Raccoon City?
We will get to that towards the end of the panel.
We're very excited.
We are going to discuss Revelations and Operation Raccoon City towards the end of this. How are we doing for time here? We are moving away. Okay, we're about halfway through. Next up, let's get to, I think, something we can all get behind here. Memorable. No, this is the one I think every single person in this room. I want to hear at least half the people in this room sound off on this one. Most memorable moments from the franchise. For me,
Blood.
personally, I think I want to hear from as many people as we can on this one because I think we all need to say something else. For me, it was in 2. I was playing as Leon, and I just got into the sewers. And I'd be a little trigger happy because I just got the upgrades to the pistol. I got ammo for everything. Yes, you know this one. You've heard this enough time. And I get down there, and all I see is the tarantulas. And I'm standing there with the gun out, just like, okay, back up, back up, back up. Okay, fuck this. And I turned the game off. I took it back to Roger.
Not a spider fan?
No.
Especially when they're that size.
No, I think the other one for me is Mr. X doing the Kool-Aid Man impression. Just before we get to everybody else, I just want everyone who's up here to sound off what they got to say on this one. Becky?
I think probably the dogs. The first time we took the dogs in, are actually RE0 and RE1. They just sort of pop up on the train in 0, and the first time we took them in the mansion, they break the glass. Scared me shitless.
Well, that moment in itself is ironic.
Yeah. And they messed with you in the remake.
Yeah, they messed with me in the remake, and then they have the bats come through the window in Lost Nightmares.
When you walk through that hallway, the glass actually breaks a little bit, and you're waiting for the stupid thing to come out at you, and it doesn't. But if you come back through that hallway in the opposite direction, they will come at you.
And then when you're playing Lost Nightmares, you go through all similar to that, and 2 bats come crashing down.
Yeah.
For me, I think both are from the remake. The first time you see a Crimson Head, I gotta say.
Because you're wondering why they have all these, like, the gas canisters and the lighters, and it's telling you to burn the bodies, and I'm like, what do you need to do that for? And then 30 minutes later. Okay.
You're burning them and you just get out.
Yeah, I got that happening too.
But next, definitely seen from the same game. The first time you see Lisa Trevor, you go to
Yes.
that was amazing.
Lisa Trevor. Nothing. That's what I was just thinking. That was actually a really good impression. She is a depressing character. Yeah, Lisa Trevor was terrifying.
I think she is actually possibly the most terrifying creature that franchise has had.
Yeah.
Even scarier than the Wall Witch.
Well, you know why? It's because she was a child when they gave it to a child.
I read her backstory and almost cried.
She just overgrew and she was wearing her mother's face.
Well, we've all else got Amber. It's your turn.
Pretty much everything you guys have said have all been my memorable moments as well. Like, you pretty much nailed them.
Yeah, let's open this one then.
That's what happens when I'm at the
no. Let's go. Let's see here. Who haven't we heard a lot from yet? Anyone towards the back? You in the red shirt.
Okay, I was playing Resident Evil 5. It was where I started in Resident Evil, and I was at my friend's apartment from it. I was just introduced to it by him. He decided to jump me in at the last part of the game when you're fighting Wesker. He crashes from his plane. His shirt is torn to pieces. He's shirtless. We throw him in lava. He gets out. His pants are fine. So we have made the joke.
Why is his pants the same place Bruce Banner does?
So we've just made the joke that from now on, when we restart the game, we should just steal Wesker's pants and make all our armor out of it.
It's a Christian warrior out there. That was all he had left after. Oh, baby.
Okay. Who's next? Do I see a hand right up there in the back? Yes. I can't see too well right now. The glasses are back in the room.
It's fine. I have to say probably Birkin from William Birkin from Resident Evil 2.
Oh, gee.
The guy that every time you think he's dead, oh mother!
And not only does he comes back, he comes back as something new every time, and eventually he becomes a giant animal squall.
Yeah, and when you finally think he's dead for good, you know, and you're on the train, and then suddenly, oh, wow.
Yep. Okay. Come on, I want to hear from some new people this time around. Two-Face.
Was I the only one sad when they killed Wesker off?
No, you were not.
Why would you cry? You're gonna destroy them everything.
Sorry, I like it.
Okay, hang on a second. We finally have our fourth saying something here.
From Resident Evil 2, the giant fucking alligator.
Oh.
I knew that was coming
Oh,
because
no.
I remember seeing it on the back of the box, and when I entered
that's
that
when we
tunnel, I was
don't-
like, I know what's in here.
What was worse? Was it in Dark Side how much bigger it was?
Well, guess what? The first time I played through RE2, I didn't know that you had to knock that
Did you actually-
master over and shoot it while it was in
Did you actually empty every round you had and then you can take it down?
Yes. To the end, my game just kind of gives up, and it's like, okay, this person's stupid. They didn't do it.
I didn't think that was possible.
I like that if you I don't get all the
Back to
references.
the last Wesker question. I was a little disappointed only because Wesker's character really jumped the shark in 5. I hated Wesker in 5.
Well, again, he did, like I said, he became a villain.
Yeah, exactly. Wesker doesn't want to destroy the world. Wesker wants to make money, right? And that's the Wesker I want to see.
Wesker is a villain.
Yeah.
And that's the character I fell in love with.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that because it's like he spent 10 years trolling everyone. Like all his cards at once because of some social dominance claptrap.
Maybe he'll come back as a zombie.
Yeah. No, now, thankfully, I'm glad they killed him off after that, but I was really disappointed in the last fight there. Because when he became a hentai monster, and any single one of you try and tell me he wasn't.
I've seen Resident Evil She lived in Chocolates for months. You don't want to know.
I had a feeling.
You don't want to know. Same thing, man.
That pissed me off more than anything because he stopped being that character we all come to like so much.
Love to hate. In
Yeah.
all fairness, he needed a good villainous breakdown, and it took a lot to get him to stay down. It's like he opened on a super douche film. he got thrown out of a plane into a volcano, turned into an eldritch abomination. That would make H.P. Lovecraft blush. And then turned into that head. Yeah. So I mean,
And I mean, like, throughout the whole series, he was always this, like, really calm, cool, collected guy who just really knew how to play his cards right, and he just lost it.
He was the strategist who wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty.
going to say that.
I mean, the thing I love is when you see in Umbrella Chronicles, when you finally get to understand that he was operating behind the scenes all this time.
Yeah, like that's what I liked with the first scenario is you find out how he escaped the mansion.
He got stabbed, then he got up. Then he made Lisa.
Yeah. He's attacking him.
Like.
Yeah.
Okay, who else?
You know the remake when you have to worry about Neptune? The big ass one when you have to pull the generator?
Yes,
the first time I did not push it because I was thinking, he has to be dead. He has to be dead. Go down, walk. Oh my!
I think everyone might have done. That was one of the things I actually gotta say I loved about the remake, is it wasn't a straight remake.
Yeah.
It gave us the familiar, but it also threw us a curveball. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, again, as we often say, the dogs. You think you know what's coming?
The dogs bring the hunches jumping through the window later.
And even like the way you go, right, in the game, because Jill can't take half the lock she used to be able to, right?
Yeah, she kind of lost her title.
Yeah.
She's no longer the master of unlocking.
The master of unlocking. Yep.
Well,
You've been very patient, so.
This is to play devil's advocate with that whole Wesker personality change in a way. For one thing, a lot of people bitched about this online, but I'm so happy they changed voice actors.
I loved DC Douglas.
And what he's done afterwards making fun of it is amazing. Look at his website. But with the whole, like, his complete change of goals and everything like that, I played devil's advocate with it because I was like, okay, well, why did they do it? Well, obviously they needed a story. But I kind of, like, sort of got the idea of looking at it of, he's gone insane.
Yeah.
Because they don't make it clear, first, that anyone has ever known that Jill's received a vaccine. So why the hell would he take Jill's body and want to experiment on her, other than personal vengeance? So that's something the original Wesker we would never have dreamed of doing. He would never take somebody for something like that, for a personal vendetta. So I think the idea of him just taking the body 3 years prior, and then 3 years later, he's just completely batshit. Virus that has no longer made him human has made him insane. And the idea of a virus is to infect all it can. So I look at him instead of being a person as being a virus.
You know what? I never actually thought of it as the T-virus.
I see it as like a de-evolution of his sanity.
Yeah, I never actually thought of it like that. The virus would affect his mental functions.
Yeah, that's how I was very well.
It kind of does.
And I would buy it, but is the plan not Spencer's, right? Didn't he steal it from Spencer?
Yeah, the whole forced evolution thing was Spencer's plan originally. So Spencer's clearly an asshole.
Yeah.
We're going to get an army of blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. Oh, God, I can't be the only person in this room who realized that.
The owner of Umbrella, they only showed you really one people get killed. Why didn't they show you more of you? You're the most important.
But not only that, but they built him up to be such a crazy guy, right? With the Trevor notes and everything. I really wanted to see what he was capable of.
Yeah, they brought, Spencer, they did build up to be something more.
And I mean, this is another thing, and I know this is one of our topics for later on, but the whole fact of they said that Resident Evil 5 was supposed to use a phase 1 that was going to tie up all the ends. We were going to find out everything that happened.
Yeah,
and then you finish the game and you're like, and?
Yeah, I'm so sick of those off into the sunset endings. Give us a fucking story!
When Resident Evil 4 first came out, play through the entire story once, like every movie. As soon as we saw Charles for the first time, we both just looked at each other and we're like,
He's this character who knows you, and it seems to have like an established background, but who is this? I don't know. It's like, I thought I died.
Tanya.
Excuse to make dark side. And I'm like,
Talking to Jack Krauser. The thing I love about him as a character, not just him as a character, about having him around, was he was the biggest curveball in that entire game. Because here we are for the first time, going toe-to-toe with a human being.
Until he gets it.
You know what? I still say Krauser was more human with that arm than Wesker was in the end. Yeah, no,
yeah, the stupid, like, press the buttons. I watched him die in every way possible during.
I actually did a playthrough of RE4, which is let's see all the different things they came up with.
The best is why
Chris's neck.
Yes.
Watching Shadow Fall.
Flip over and as he's doing, he's like, wah.
Yeah.
Okay, who else has one they want to share? Yes, with the hats.
Safe room. I'm mostly, I'm going through the entire game, game after game after game, thinking, come on, one time they're gonna fuck with me and something's gonna be in this room. And I finally relaxed. I think it was the third game. Something was finally in that safe room. Nothing has ever attacked me, and then they bite you. Pardon? Yeah, I think it was on the PlayStation version. Yeah.
I'm trying. I remember it happening. I remember where exactly it was.
It's either the second or the third game.
It's the second. I think it was in the RPG. Yeah, the second one.
Yeah.
Okay, who else has one? Yes, you've been very patient.
I'm pretty new to this series and everything, as a person who really sucks at video games and freaks out at anything horror. But my lovely friends decided it would be funny to make me play Lost in Nightmares without warning me about anything. So body falling on my head to make me scream. And then the executioners, they didn't tell me about the executioners, they just said, it's weird that they haven't attacked yet. And it got delayed to the very last second that they could possibly happen. And so the entire time, like every time I entered a room, I was like, guys, what are you talking about? And they're like, and it's weird.
She would also wait on the other side of doors.
You know what?
Opening doors, just Jill's face.
You know what? That is the mark of great design, though.
Yeah, it is. Like, they're really great games.
Because that's the old school tension coming back.
Yeah.
That you know something's
that body. Look at that body.
How are we for time? We are gonna have to move on now. We're gonna get into the final 20 here. Next up, as was already touched on, the loose ends.
Yeah. Which ones? Do you want them just like alphabetically or chronologically?
I mean, there are too many to
60
count.
years of Resident Evil, that's why.
Yeah, well, this is the thing though, is Capcom straight up said, RE5 is going to tie up the Stars storyline, all the loose ends are going to be dealt with, and we go.
Where's Barry?
Where's
Shelly?
Yeah, no, that's actually
What is the BSAA?
That was specifically what I was about to bring up, was Sherry Birkin.
Yes. Which is,
Sherry
everyone
Birkin.
thought it was just Jill. Well, I mean, yeah, in all the trailers, you see the blonde hair woman, which was obviously Jill, but Sherry Birkin at that time frame would have been 20 years old, and that's honestly what I thought it was.
And it's a known fact that, she was in Wesker's custody or something.
Yeah.
So there's something right there.
Also, Leon only joined because
they had
the rest?
You know, there's also the other one I looked at.
What did it say?
Wesker had Umbrella's entire research database. What happened to all that information?
Foundation. That's why I think.
I mean, he's not the guy. Yeah, okay, I can see the BSAA maybe picking it up afterwards.
So before, yes.
But he would have made an extra copy or 6.
It was Wesker. He was smart back then.
Yeah.
He sure. He probably did have a copy after a copy.
Yeah. He did. So all of that old information is still out there.
And last
Also, why did Jill's hair turn blonde?
Why?
Yeah, no, that actually had to do with you. There is a file you can find after the fight.
It talks about it.
Whatever the fuck that is.
Bullshit. Because if you look, her face is paler and her eyes are bluer.
No, Wesker, what happened was Wesker got bored. Because he's standing there singing the regular song.
Yeah, but really, because in the trailers they could show her and you never know.
The other thing is, part of the reason I honestly think the pigmentation happened changed like that was because I know in early drafts of the game, you clearly saw Jill as the co-op partner.
Actually,
okay, you know, I have to put this as an open question to the room. Was RE5 racist? Show of hands.
Teeny bit.
No.
You're in Africa. You expect to find white people?
I know.
Zombies from China. How does she like
Like, what were you expecting? It's ridiculous. It's just people causing drama.
Africa-like country.
People cause shit for the sake of causing shit.
Exactly. But how it is, you can create anything these days without somebody saying.
It's a great like visual source book if you like looking at other science and stuff. And they actually do say that originally it was going to be Chris's village Dev as more of a side character, more that's kind of like putting it before. And then as they started developing the story more and more, they wanted to explore things more with Deva and more possibilities. So it was actually decided upon the number of years before people were getting offended. So it wasn't really the racism. And in that respect, I do actually think 4 was pretty racist because, I mean, in 5, they actually like went to Africa and looked around at the different types of geography and architecture and stuff, but they were actually showing you like accurate depictions of what the villages looked like, what like the landscapes
It's not like all of them were using spears and whereas like in Spain, or everybody
Terrible.
in Spain, it was just complete all generic broke-ass villages. And it's like,
and then Spanish.
Another thing too that they were supposed to do Resident Evil 5 the sun was supposed to greatly affect your health.
Yeah, you know what? That would have been awesome.
Yeah. That would have been like outbreak with the infection level.
Yeah. Yeah, like you could watch your meter, right, to see like are you out in the sun, like you had to see shade apparently was one of the
Yeah, no,
original.
that, you know what that reminds me of?
That's
You remember Winter?
Yes.
That's what that reminds me of.
Because in that game, if it had ever come out.
Would have been absolutely amazing.
Yeah, because you would actually freeze to death if you were in the cold for too long.
So we're going to the final 15 now. So we're going to go towards the topic we've already hinted at. Let's talk about what's coming down the pipeline. We got 2 new games coming out the next. Are they both like this year? Or?
If you count mercenaries.
I'm not counting the mercenaries. Because
Oh,
the
why
mercenaries.
not? It's fine.
Gives you very play as
Yeah, because we got
fills my needs.
Operation Raccoon City, which personally I cannot wait for.
Kill Leon!
Not only is it killing Leon, is it's taking us back to that place we all love.
No, Leon's awesome.
And Revelations. Music is Bobby hostage.
I do have one thing to say quickly. I did post a comment on the Resident Evil Facebook just recently saying, hey, would love to hear some more information on Revelations because it's been so mercenaries heavy. But I did actually get a reply that it should be the next month or 2.
Awesome.
More info on Revelations.
Mercenaries is important because it comes with the demo for Revelations.
I guess we should theorize about Revelations a bit first, because that's the one that's actually canon. They already straight up said Operation Raccoon City is not canon because we'll pop Leon in the face. Spoiler, Leon died!
Yes, for some reason.
That thing that's
Best idea ever. Whose idea is to use?
I didn't even know.
I heard there's one more.
We can go
Yeah, according to what I've read, Revelations takes us back to basics. Is yes, we're getting the over the camera. We're really over the camera, but we're back to that nice, slow tension. You'll be walking down the hall and you'll just hear.
Oh.
And so you know something's coming. But you're not sure where it's coming from. You don't know where it's personally that exciting.
that
Maybe it's just me, but I can't help but notice that Chris's redesigns in subsequent years have made him look more and more like Solid Snake.
Yeah.
A little bit.
If you look at Jill the battle suit, though, it's basically like a poor man's Samus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, seriously, Chris in the wetsuit with his hair kind of growing in more in the headset, he looks like Snake in MGS. Yeah. Other thing I'm stoked about, and they had already confirmed this, is Hunk is back in Revelations. Woo! No, they have actually confirmed it. I'm convinced the guy we see in the initial teaser is tied to the chair.
Oh, thank you.
I'm convinced that is Hunk.
Please let it be Hunk.
Due unfortunately, there's a lack of information we've been giving. I really don't know what else to say about it. What do you guys think?
I mean, yeah, you say it's on a boat for the first half anyway.
It's on a boat!
Because it's a handheld game and it's on a boat, like guided.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're kind of like, on a boat.
What was
Okay,
it one of
I
the...
think Capcom just needs to give it up and change their logo to the troll face.
Didn't it take place on a boat also?
That story was a boat.
Yeah.
Gaiden took place on a boat.
Well, from what I've seen, apparently the boat has the lobby of the Spencer Mansion. Umbrella needs to hire new architects.
Okay, this is out to me as being a terrible architecture nerd, but like during the Chris Jill Wesker fight in Lost in Nightmares, I actually got really angry when Wesker stripped the paint off the table. I was like, Wesker, that's not the revival! How could you? I'm sorry, I'm like a big architecture nerd, so I just got so angry that they ruined that table.
Well, yeah, I mean, what do you guys think we're going to see coming down the pipeline? What does anybody in the room think we're coming seeing down on this one?
I think they're gonna achieve the whole Sherry thing. I think they make first Resident Evil 6. Her or Rebecca or Claire.
I think they're completely forgotten.
Well, no, Claire's already kind of gotten her happy end.
Degeneration, it kind of shows.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And they're making another CG movie, again, Leon. What is with Leon? Leon's pretty, I just like the Lucas. They are honey.
Yes, and that's why Operation Raptors is fun. No, he's probably out of the city.
Here's a test, though. Is Operation Raccoon City Leon going to be really, personality-wise, Resident 2 Leon or Resident 4 Leon?
I think it's going to be personality-wise, because if you play...
I feel like they're going to go 4.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, because if you play Dark Side.
Yeah, he's acting all like...
He's like, I'm a badass. No, Leon, you're not a badass. Oh, you're okay. Bad, Leon.
First day on the job, you're allowed to pee your pants.
The thing with Leon, right, is RE5 brought so many new gamers to the franchise. They're not gonna throw in RE2 Leon. Yeah, people.
Just because what RE4 did with Leon, and everybody was just like, oh my god, he's the best.
Yeah, I think that's the fact. I think what we're seeing with Leon and 4 is part of Devil May Cry shining through.
Yeah. Yeah. They realized they didn't have a pretty boy character, so Chris is, buck meat fist. With hot nipples, and then Leon.
Hello, I love the picture.
And then of course they had to add Lewis so that they could appease the Yowie fangirls. And then Chris Wesker for the Yowie fangirls again.
And then you get some.
Honestly though, in defense of the sexual tension in RE5, the only times Wesker ever paid any attention to Sheva are when she's right in his face.
Get away!
I noticed Jill running at him full speed. And I'm like, yeah! I'm gonna impale you!
That's,
Yes, I went there.
I would never come back.
He does
For Operation?
Not Operation. One looks like that horrible bleach thing before the Iron Maiden. Something like that.
Oh man, that would be cool. I mean, those things were absolutely terrible.
Those are the worst creatures in the world. Other than
The noises they make.
Yeah.